Signing in from. It's the last day of the year. It's the last day of the year, man. The last day of 2019. It's a whole decade. It's about to be over with. So I'm excited for things to come. This year has been both interesting, good, and bad. So I'm excited for a new year. But yeah, y'all go ahead and sign in while we getting this together. So let me find where my bass is here, so I can get some effects going on. So I'm playing, this is a section from one of my new songs that isn't out yet, but y'all are getting a sneak peek of one of the newer songs. So I'm just kind of playing over this section if I can actually find my bass. Let's see here, there it is. See if I can get me a little input going here. Get me an input going. Let's see, all right, here we go. All right, welcome in everybody. If you are just chiming in, good morning to get in. What's up? Let's see if I got anything. All right, let's see here. Let's take a little less EQ off of it for now. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right, let me let this down just a hair so you guys can see a little better. Let's see if I can do that. All right. Ohio. Keith, what's up, Keith? All right. Let's see here. Ohio in the house. What's up, man? All right, let's see what we got here. K Oliver, what's good, man? I'm good. All is well with me. All right. So I'm I'm feeling my way around. So all right, before I jump in, I'm trying to play around to this track for the guys of you that are just coming in. This is a song from my upcoming next album, Dreams Work Reality Part 2. This is one of the songs from the upcoming album. When that is dropping, I don't know yet, so just be on the lookout for it. And if you hadn't heard Part 1, be sure to grab that. So I haven't played this song, I know, since like maybe last year. So yeah, we recorded this album, man, it had to be 2017. Yeah, this is how long we've been working on this record. So we recorded this album 2017. I released Daydreaming as a single. Some of you have heard the Daydreaming song. How is that? I don't even remember that. So that song, we recorded the whole album in 2017. I released part one, Dreams Work Reality Part 1. I think I released it last year. And so I've just been sitting on part 2. I haven't even released it yet. And this is one of the songs from the album I hadn't played in a while. Yo, Jermaine, good morning. Rodney, what's up, man? So all that being said, I'm feeling around trying to get it back under my hands because I haven't played the song in so long. And I haven't played bass today. I literally just picked up my bass probably 5 minutes before I got on here. Not because I was being lazy, but I've been recording guitar all week. I'm saying all week like it's, I don't even know what day it is. It's Tuesday. So I started last week recording guitar, and I've been recording guitar for the last few days. And so I haven't really had a chance to pick up on my bass. And so you guys are catching me real raw and trying to find everything, trying to get it back under my hands, because this has been where I've been living for the last couple of days, just recording this album, somebody's record I'm working on. So yeah, have to get my mind back wrapped around the bass. Good morning, Mobile, Alabama. Melvin, what's up, man? Hope all is well with you. All right, so let me get back into this. Get my hands back on. So if any of you guys are listening to this trying to figure out the time of it, it's in 5. So in this particular section, this song got some, if you listen to the Dreams Work Reality Part 1 record, you know we got some weird time stuff happening in there. But it's not too extreme. It's like most of the songs have a pretty set structure, but you may go into this odd time signature somewhere in there. Russell, what's up, man? Let's see who is somebody else. Who is that? Orson, good morning to you. All right, here we go. Tell you, I write this stuff and go back and can't even remember what I wrote. So let's see here. All right, so he says, is it a 3-2 or a 2-3 pattern? I'm not sure exactly. UK, what's up now? I'm not sure exactly what you're asking. I've been trying my hand at guitar also. So, Russell, I'm not sure what you mean is a 2-3 or a 3-2 pattern. So like this, the groundwork of the song, like I said, I'm trying to remember. Uh, what was that? Eliezer, how you doing? So, wow, I forgot this whole song. I feel bad now. All right, let me put it in context. I'm on here. So yeah, I'm trying to remember. And I'll tell you guys now, if you play around with this ain't part of my lesson today. You said how are the beats divided from the 5 times? So I'm just counting it. Everybody counts different. So I'm going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, just straight. That's how I'm counting. So when you get into this odd time signature stuff, it starts to stretch your brain. And then when you come back to like regular meter stuff, you know what I'm saying? When you come back to the regular meter stuff, it gives you more ideas to play and more rhythmic ideas to play around with rather than all of your stuff sounding the same all the time. So I probably started writing a lot of odd time stuff, man, probably like 10 years ago or more, because I just got into it. It wasn't really like I tell you guys my story. I came from a very traditional music background, like straight forward to the floor. You know, it was real simple. But I could always hear this other stuff and didn't understand why I could hear it. And the more I got around people and got around people that stretched me to get out of my comfort zone, it caused me to start thinking differently. I think one of the people I credit to that is David Haynes. He also goes by fingers, like he plays this drum machine with his hands. Sounds amazing, and he could play live drums too. But he's just amazing on this like pad. And so when David and I connected, I would go over to his house, and we would just practice. And he would throw out these odd time signatures, and he would like tell me about I understood time, I understood odd time signatures, but I didn't understand the majority. Like I knew like a couple of them, 2 or 3 of them. I knew how to count in 7 and that kind of thing. But he started stretching me and pulling me in other directions. Like we'd be playing a groove in 7, and he'll start soloing on the drums in like 9, and I'm sitting here like, yeah, I don't know what the 1 is. So it was that kind of stuff, and it started stretching me to stretch my hearing, to stretch my rhythm, my understanding of time, my sense of time, to get better at that. So I'm getting back with this record. That's what I was doing with this record. Not trying to create something complicated, but making sure that I create music that like I'll allow the music to go where it goes. Because the beginning of this song, I think it's like no, it's actually in 5 all the way through. it's so funny the way I wrote this song. I was sitting in my kitchen talking. Oh, I wasn't talking, but I heard this beat in my head, and I like beating on my chest. And I literally took my phone out, beating on my chest, and I recorded the melody in my phone. And that's how this whole idea of this song like took off. And with that, like most of us, when we sit down to write music, we write simple. Not everybody, but most of us, we write stuff that's very simple. And especially here in, I say, Western world, we're used to like popular music being in, something, a very simple time signature like 4/4, 6/8, something like that. Something that's real understandable. We're not used to having stuff in odd time signatures. I know you guys that are in other countries, it's like, what do you mean odd? That's like normal for us. But here in the States, it's a little different. Most of the music is, straight, four on the floor. We stand right there for most of the parts. But I want to be able to create stuff that stretches me, that makes me think outside of the norm for myself. What's going on, Charles Ray? Tampa, Florida in the house. Listening to it, it sounded like 5/4, clave and 2.8. And 2/8, kind of the mission. It does. Yeah, I never really thought about that, Russell. It does have that. It really has that Mission Impossible thing going on with it. But yeah, that's exactly what you are. That's exactly what you hear in that same feel. And yeah, so just kind of playing around with it, being able to hear stuff really differently. And I'm telling you guys, if you don't play and odd time signatures a lot, it's one of the things like you can hear, y'all hear in real time. I'm very rusty. Like I have been away from even my own music because playing here and there, recording, doing all this different stuff, I haven't really had the time to dig in on that stuff. So you have to. It's one of the things you have to refresh it. It'll come back if I play around with it a little while. Yeah, I'll get it back under my hands and it'll be no problem. But it's one of those things that like you have to. If it's something that anything that you don't do a lot, you have to keep yourself uh, refreshed on it. It's not enough to, oh yeah, I learned all of that in school or in high school or in college. I learned all this stuff. Like you have to work on it because you'll find yourself in one of those environments and somebody call on you for a solo and it's not in 4/4. It's like in 7 or it's in 5. It's in some weird time signature and you don't want to be sitting there. Not only can you not play a solo, but you can't count the groove, so you're lost. You don't know where you are. So those kind of things are good to kind of work on if you're planning on stretching yourself, especially coming in 2020. If you're looking to stretch yourself more as a player, you're looking to get more out of yourself. Start stretching yourself. Play stuff that's uncomfortable. Right now, this is very uncomfortable for me because I don't like messing up. Let's be perfectly honest. I don't like messing up, and I definitely don't like doing it on camera. So for me, trying to remember the song, me trying to remember my own parts that I wrote, and having the camera there and an audience watching me struggle through my stuff, that's like a very uncomfortable place for me. But at the same time, it's a good place for me because it forces me to grow. And I encourage you guys to do that. I'm not necessarily saying go online and start posting yourself practicing, but put yourself in uncomfortable situations because that's the only way you will be able to grow. And it really kind of leads me to my point for today. It was all me. It was all me. I think let's see here. Trying to remember the exact I trying to remember my exact title because I don't remember exactly what I called it, but I know somebody helped me out. What was the word for today? Was it's all me? Yeah, give me just a second. I'll find it. Find my own title. I'm gonna pull this video up. All right, so here you go. Yeah, it was all on me. All right, so what I mean by that, it was all on me as we end this year. Thank you, I appreciate that, Joseph. As we end this year, let me see if I missed any comments because man, I get going in these things and I look and I'm like 20 minutes behind in the comments because I'm either playing or talking and I miss some of you guys' comments. So it was all on me as I looked through this year And I finish up this year, as you look over this year, 2019, and even leading up to 2019, this entire decade, going into 2020, starting up a completely new decade, something that we've never seen before. 2020 sounded like science fiction in the 90s. It was just unheard of. And now we're here. We're here, and it's about to be 2020 tomorrow. And so as I look over the year, it's like I'm thinking of all this stuff that's happened and where I am in my life, where I am in my career, where I am as a husband. And there are some winning moments, and I know, I mean, go with me here. I'm sure a lot of you guys can identify with this. There were a lot of wins and there were a lot of fails. But ultimately, if we look at where we are in relation to where we want it to be, it was all on us. It was all on us. And at least I can say, honestly, it was all on me. And I think one of the biggest parts of moving forward into 2020 and gaining certain things and becoming what you want to become, you have to own up to the fact that it was all on you. I share this, guy. I'll share this with you really quick. When I was coming up, and I said this, some of you guys may have saw my video post a few days ago about the coaching calls and all that kind of stuff. And if you went to my website, you heard me share a little bit of my story. If you hadn't heard that, go to the coaching tab on my website, and there's a little video, and I share just a little piece of my story. 2020 will be the decade to turn. Yeah, I turned 40 in 2020s. Yeah, me too. So I share a little bit of my story, and one of the things I share in my story is like I skated through life. I can honestly say that now because a lot of my life I spent saying things like, if I had known this, the older I got and the older you get, you say stuff like, man, if I had known this, or if I had access to that, and if I had done this, if I had done that. And I can honestly, at this point in my life, say that a lot of it was on me. When I go back and I really dissect stuff and I look at it, it's like the potential was there the entire time. I just didn't tap into it. And I made excuses. And I'm sorry to get really deep and really, y'all know how it is. You know what I do. It's called grooves and motivation. So you already know what it is. So good morning to whoever that was that spoke. But I had to be honest with myself when I looked at my life, when I looked at some of the things I did, even as a player, even as a musician. I looked at where I was as a musician. My mind goes back to some of the gigs that I did early, starting, and some of the things that I was involved in. I'm like, a lot of times I was playing more guitar back in the day, but a lot of times I know I depended on other band members. Like whoever was the music director at the time, I would lean on that person to remember certain parts of the song. I would depend on them to feed me. I would do enough to learn the song to get through it. I thought that was practicing, and I would lean on whoever was in charge to kind of give me the cues, to kind of sing my part to me just in case I forgot it. I wouldn't go the extra mile. I knew I had a hard time learning and remembering certain things, but I didn't go that extra mile. Just me being honest with myself, I didn't go that extra mile to figure out, okay, what's a better system I could put together to make sure I'm getting this stuff. Even if I'm in a situation where I'm getting the music late and I'm having to cram, how can I guarantee that when it's time for showtime, I can deliver this music 100%? I put into practice, and sometimes I would still forget the music. And, I would make those excuses about, well, man, it's hard for me to remember music. But let's be honest. Had these people sent this music out months in advance, I wouldn't have sat with it like months in advance. I would have probably waited till the week of or something like that to really start digging into the music. And that was on me. That was all on me. In that particular extreme scenario, you got a situation and we're just using music because I'm sure most of you guys are musicians. We're just using music. If they're sending the music out in advance, I got to work. I got my family. I got this and I got that. But yet, we're constantly searching for certain things because we want to be better. We want to be better, but when it comes to the hard leg work in getting better, most of us have great excuses as to why we can't get better. We all have great legit what we call legitimate excuses, and we can talk ourselves out of it. Well, I had to do this, I had to work, I had to, and what I'm learning the older I get, as my guy talked about, turning 40, going into this new decade. And this is something I didn't just start doing, but I just want to bring it to your attention as we cross over into a new decade, a new year, it really won't be anything new if you don't change anything. Let's be honest. Only thing that's going to change is the date on the calendar. Just like whatever time it is now, from the time I get off, that's just a different time. That's a different hours, different minutes. It doesn't mean anything about you change. The only time you change is when you decide you are going to change and you put wheels to that idea and you start actually doing something about it. Because that was the biggest thing with me. I didn't know you can be so used to making excuses for yourself to you're like completely oblivious to the fact that you're the problem. You are the problem, and don't take it in a negative sense. Just look at it as, oh man, this is actually me. When I really sit down and I'm trying to save somebody some time. If you're trying to grow when it comes to this instrument, or when it comes to your career, if you have a gig already, if you have a job, you're trying to climb up in position. All the things that I'm doing now started happening for me as a result of my mindset changing and me starting to realize it's all on me. I want to get better on this instrument up until the point that I got a serious gig on the instrument. I didn't really take it serious. I liked it. I enjoyed it. When I found something, and this might identify with some of you guys out there, I really liked bass when I was in college. I was playing guitar up until that point, and bass was kind of one of those things I would pick up every now and again. But I got introduced to like Victor Wooten. I met a good friend of mine. He introduced me, or didn't introduce me personally. I got introduced to his music. I got introduced to like Victor Wooten, Jocko, as I went through college, meeting different people. Hey, have you heard this guy? Have you heard that guy? And I started hearing all this stuff. And I'm just being honest, rather than me taking all of that information I was hearing and sitting down and really dissecting it and getting into it, I would take a few songs here and there that I like, the parts of the song that I like, and I would learn those little parts and I would move on. Oh, that's cool. I really, I like the Amazing Grace, Uh, I went all out and learned Amazing Grace because I really like that. But the other stuff, if it seemed a little too hard, I found something else to do. I ain't got time to learn that. But what I really, really wanted to learn, I put the time into that. It's kind of like that the saying, we make time for what we want. We really make time for what we want. We say we don't have time for certain things, but in essence, we really make time for what we want. I really wanted to learn Amazing Grace. I could play it better than that years ago, but I really put the time in to figure it out and learn how to play the song because I really, really wanted to know how to do it. It inspired me and I wanted to do it. So what do you do when you're not so inspired? Are you still pushing, or are you kind of making excuses? Coming back to the point of realizing it's all on me. Like, what are you doing? How are you handling the times when, I really don't want to learn this song? Oh, this seems like a lot of way too much stuff. I know for me, even at this level of professionalism, when I get certain calls for certain gigs and I listen to the music, and I'm human, so my initial thought, and sometimes when you can play at a certain level, people love to send you difficult stuff. Oh man, it's almost like they pick songs that are more difficult because you can play at a certain level, as if you'll be insulted to play something that's simple. No, I would love to play something simple and get paid a lot of money to do it when it comes to a gig. But a lot of times you get called into these situations and the songs are just, it's a lot going on. Happy New Year to you, Venezuela. So, it's one of those, almost Happy New Year, rather. So it's one of those things. It's just weird. I just say that. It's just weird. I lost my train of thought for a second. But I don't want to spend too much time talking on that. Let me do this. Let me see a show of hands. Let me see if I can get some honest people. I can't see you on the other side of the screen. Y'all see me and you see my mess ups. But I can't see you on the other side of the screen. Show of hands. who can honestly say, looking back over this entire year, that it's been on me? It's been on me, and I've been the problem. I've been the thing holding me back in terms of my growth in my playing. I've been the one that's been holding me back. Like I'm gonna see how many honest people that I have on this live feed, and if you're watching it in the replay, yeah, show me. I mean, it's not an embarrassment thing. It's just people just being honest, man. Like my career started to change. My playing, I have people that I talk to since we've been doing these coaching. We've been doing these coaching calls. People have been taking advantage of these coaching calls. And if you're on here, hello to you. Thank you for getting in on the coaching calls. Yep, I see y'all. It's all on me. What's that? What's up, man? Converted drummer just started playing bass 3 months ago at my church. Looking the videos and guidance. Keep up, man. Thank you for that. It's been all on us. So um, what's that? I agree, especially about the picking and choosing songs. Yeah, yeah. The biggest, like I said, the biggest turn for me in my career when I started really getting good on bass, and I was saying I was having this conversation with some people that were talking to me in the coaching calls. I'm like, man, you'd be shocked to know I wasn't a natural on bass, and I'm still not a natural on bass. I wasn't one of these people that we would call prodigies. I had an ear for music, but I was never a prodigy, a child prodigy, anything like that. I started late playing, and for years I was okay. I was decent. It wasn't until, like I said, I landed a gig down here, and I realized when I got into a place where I had people. Environment is important. I got into a place where I saw people were hungry. I was hungry, but I wasn't in a place that I was really being challenged and really being pushed. And so I used that as an excuse, getting back to that. I used that as an excuse because the area that I was in, a lot of the people weren't hungry for it. They were kind of hungry, and they just kind of liked doing it a little bit. But nobody was really hungry. But when I moved down to Atlanta, it's like a cesspool of musicians, and all of them are hungry. Like everybody, when I got down here, man, 13, 14 years ago, everybody down here I ran into was just hungry. So my little average plan was below average compared to everybody down here. I did a little, you have your little go-to things that was cool, but for the most part, and this is me being completely honest with myself, as a player, I sucked. And I'm like, if my average is good back where I'm from, but I come to a place like this and my average is below average, yeah, I need to do something about that. Good is not good enough. Good is not good enough. That's not going to cut it. So I had to look at it, and I really started working on myself, and I started listening to people that challenged me. I didn't continue to listen to all the music that I like and listen to the stuff that I like. I started listening to stuff that challenged me, that pushed me out of my comfort zone, that made me feel uncomfortable. I listened to stuff that made me want to quit. I tried practicing and working on stuff and trying to learn stuff that made me really want to quit. And I think once you get to that breaking point of you're listening and you're playing, there you go, big fish in a small pond. Once you get to that point where you're listening to things that are stretching you, and it's got you to that breaking point of either I'm gonna do this or I'm gonna hang it up. You're right where you need to be. So if a lot of y'all feel like giving up on it, well, you're probably right where you need to be. It's that point that separate the winners from the losers. That's about as blunt as I can make it. So if you're at a point where you feel like quitting in your playing, that's a good place to be. Not to hold on to that mindset where you want to quit, but if you're feeling the pressure to quit, that's that thing that's telling you you either have to get better or stay where you are, let it go altogether. Been thinking about relocating for that very reason. Oh yeah. So let's see here. Applies to more than music. Absolutely. Absolutely. And all of these lessons, if you guys have been here for more than one of my live calls, I'm always, it ain't always music. We can apply all of this stuff all across every facet of life. I have a bass in my hand, but we talking about life. You know what I'm saying? It can go to music, but it can also apply to life. And if it's an area in your life where you feel like quitting and you feel like giving up, because I've been trying this and I've been doing it. And some of y'all, don't get me wrong now, some of y'all have been going really, really hard. Some of you have been going really hard and you're ready to like, yo, I'm done. I'm out. I literally, y'all know me, I try to be very, very transparent with you. In this year, I've had several of those moments. Not because I wasn't given 100%. So there's some there's some little nuances in there. There's I need to turn my notifications off. So there's some things that can happen and you are given 100%, but these things are coming at you to kind of really see what you built up, to see what you're made of, and what they say, like, only the strong survive. It's a true statement. Only the strong survive, because I've hit many places just this year alone. Let's not even talk about 2018 and on down. Just in 2019 alone, I've hit so many places that I'm like, man, you know what? y'all can have it. One of those situations or several of those situations where you're ready to just like completely throw in the towel and be like, yo, I'm out. I think Walmart or McDonald's or somebody is hiring. You ready to give it up. What's up? Diego, what's going on? So there's like I said, finding that balance in it. But if you're hitting that place and you feel like you want to quit, that's life telling you you're almost there. You're almost there. Keep going. Or life telling you you need to push a little harder. You need to push a little harder. If you're feeling like you want to give up on this thing, you need to push a little harder. And that's kind of the way of separating the ones who are serious about it from the ones, who kind of want to do it. You know what I'm saying? Separating the two. It's my first time watching, but God sent me this because this is the very position I'm on base. Yeah, you got to keep grinding. You have to keep pushing, because I'm gonna be honest with you. It doesn't really get easier, and this is probably exactly what you guys don't want to hear. The better you get, it doesn't get easier. The better you get, it doesn't get easier. That fact can be argued, and I say that from several standpoints. Now, obviously, the better you get at playing and the more you understand, certain things come more natural to you because it's muscle memory. But the better you get, there also comes with that your awareness is heightened. Your awareness is heightened, so you are aware of more things that you're doing wrong. The more you know, the more you know. You know what I'm saying? So you're more aware of the things you're doing wrong. So there's that constant push to get better. It doesn't go away unless you get complacent with where you are, or you get arrogant thinking you've arrived. You know what I'm saying? The better you get, the more aware you become. So you start looking at things, and if you're a perfectionist like I am, you're hard on yourself. You're really hard on yourself. And so you have to work through all of those different things. You have to put yourself in uncomfortable situations, like pulling up a random song and playing it and messing up in front, like I'm doing, messing up in front of people, putting yourself in that uncomfortable position so you can put out, so you can see what you're really made of. You know what I'm saying? So you can attack those fears, so you can attack that self-doubt, so you can attack that worry, so you can attack those excuses, because once you put in the fire, it's fight or flight. You know what I'm saying? You don't get to make excuses as to why. Like if somebody put you in a ring with Tyson in his prime and they cage you in, it's fight or flight. You don't get to make excuses about, I didn't get to practice, I didn't get to do this, I didn't get to do that. You know what I'm saying? Like, no, strap up, put your gloves on. He's coming over here and he's trying to knock your entire head off your body. So you got to do something. If you're in the ring, you're in a cage ring with Mike Tyson, you got to fight. It's just that simple. And I think we don't that's an extreme scenario, but I really want you guys to get a visual of what I'm talking about. Once it comes to life, when it comes to playing, we don't put ourselves in uncomfortable situations enough. Meaning we don't put ourselves to the test enough to see what we're made of. You know what I'm saying? It's probably inevitable. If you hadn't been training like Mike Tyson, you're going to get knocked out at some point. But the question is, are you going to put up a fight, or are you just going to lay there? Or are you going to sit there and wait for him to knock you out? And the average person Like, I don't care who it is. You're not finna just knock me out that easy, dude. Like, we finna go for a second. I'm getting a good 2, 3 licks in. Just off top, I'm getting like, you not finna sit here and knock me out for no reason. Nah, we gonna go in. You gonna knock my teeth out, probably. You know what I'm saying? But I'm gonna get me 2 or 3. You gonna know I was there. I'm gonna put up a fight. And I'm using that reference, it's funny, but that's how you should approach life. It doesn't matter where you are in your career. I have people asking me all the time, older players. I say older players, players who are over like 40, 50, and I ain't calling that old because I'm almost 40, but I'm saying older players who ask me all the time, man, you think I should just kind of give up on this thing? Like, do you think I can actually do this? Do you think I can actually, have a career playing music or doing this? Yeah, it's the same scenario. If I put you in the ring with Tyson in this cage match, what are you gonna do? Are you gonna fight? Or are you gonna lay there and die? It's about when it comes to your dream, your vision for yourself, your life. Is it gonna be hard? Yeah, it's gonna be really hard. I'm telling you guys, I was not a natural when it came to bass, guitar, none of it. I can play multiple instruments, and I have several friends of mine that's always making fun of the fact that I play, like, kind of picking at the fact that I play multiple instruments. It's not easy on either one of them I play. Just because I can do it, it's not easy. It's very difficult to get better. Very easy to stay where I'm at and keep, playing the same stuff over and over again. Like, if I just only stuck with this on the bass, if I stuck with that on the bass and didn't move any further, yeah, it would be really easy. Really easy to do that because I would be complacent. I would be okay with where I'm at. I don't have to work as hard. I can get a gig doing that. If I can do that clean enough, oh yeah, I can keep it. I can keep a good solid gig just by doing that. But if I really want to grow, and be able to take certain calls and be able to do certain things, then it's going to be hard. And that's what I mean by the better you get, the harder it gets. Because you're more aware and okay, what I'm doing, that ain't cutting it. I done got past, I done got past that and I can actually hold down a gig. But that don't mean I'm doing anything. I have to put myself in a situation that stretches me, that pulls the most out of me. So I'm asking you guys, going into 2020, what kind of uncomfortable situations are you really putting yourself in? Like, how are you making yourself uncomfortable to guarantee that you don't stay in the same place? Because I guarantee one thing about it. Even if you get the brakes beat off, let's go back to my Mike Tyson reference. Even if you get the brakes beat off you in a Mike Tyson fight, if you get up and walk away, there's a sense of pride that comes with that. Not being arrogant, but there's a sense of pride because you know in yourself, man, I went up against like one of the craziest fighters in the world in his prime. You know what I'm saying? I went up with one of the craziest fighters in the world and I stood my ground. He beat me, but I ain't handed to him. I didn't just let him beat me. You know what I'm saying? I stood my ground against one of the best fighters in the world. I stood my ground. And so you walk away from that with a sense of pride. So if it's your playing and you completely bomb, but if you put everything you had into it in that situation where it was tough, some of y'all, like I'm saying y'all because I've done it. So don't take offense to it. I'm just telling you what I've done. There are situations where I feel like, man, I'm starting to crash and I'm starting to burn, and I would mentally shut down and almost mess up the whole rest of the gig because I bombed in one spot. I messed up. I was supposed to play this and I didn't play it. And so my brain went on vacation and the whole gig just went downhill. It was like an airplane on fire, no parachutes, no nothing. We all going down. So that's the mentality I would have when I made a mistake when it came to my playing. And it would cause the whole situation to go downhill because I just gave into whatever the mistake I made or however it was. It's like I didn't keep fighting all the way down. Now when I make mistakes, now that I've grown in my playing and I've gotten better, when I make a mistake in my playing, I'm coming hard. I'm coming back. If I'm doing a live show, you at one of my live shows, and I happen to be playing a solo and I mess up, Oh, the next few notes after that, we finna come for it. I'm coming for it. Like, so we gonna make up the difference. If I messed up on this, we running harder now. I know I'm behind. I just stumbled and I got like 10 feet behind in this race, so I'm coming for it. I'm not just going, oh, well, I failed. I guess I'm out. No, it's a finish line up there, and I plan to get to it. So I plan to get to that finish line. It doesn't matter if you make a mistake. And again, I said all this stuff is you can apply this to life. It doesn't matter if you make a mistake. It doesn't matter how many times you trip. It's how you get back. You know what I'm saying? Come back swinging. I missed some comments here. Let's see here. Somebody said, I love you, Groove. Man, thank you, Willie. I appreciate that. That is so true. Yep, I remember a gig where where I was in way over my head after that and became super aware that I was lacking and worked hard. Absolutely, and that's what it does. It causes you to start working harder. Glad this is helpful to you, David. You speaking, bro. I'm glad I subscribed. Thank you. We them boys. Thank you for subscribing. Chris, I'm going to sit in at the jazz gig, come back. So absolutely. Yeah. And the thing is, now it helps to be more prepared. Like I was saying earlier, when we're talking about it's all on me. Nathaniel, what's up, man? When I'm talking about it's all on me, it helps to be more prepared. Now, had I known I was going to be in a cage match with Mike Tyson, maybe I would have did some training. You know what I'm saying? I would have came up with some money to hire one of the best trainers in the world. If we had to go in debt, I got to get me a trainer. I got to get whatever help I need because I know I'm about to go up against something that I've never faced before. So I need all the tools I can get. And if I don't have the correct tools, I know nothing about boxing. I know nothing about how to do this the right way. Well, I need to go to the best and get some training on how it is I need to stand and face this giant. Because if I got time to prepare for it, why wouldn't I prepare? And now the thing that gets me, especially being an entrepreneur and owning my own business and basically my website is my business and growing that business, one of the things I find about people, because I do music production as well, one of the things I find about people as I grow and as I learn, even myself, as I said earlier, we'll pay for what we want. We'll get what we think. Like when I talked about me learning the Victor Wooten song, Amazing Grace. Now, Victor Wooten has tons of other amazing songs on that album. But I settled for Amazing Grace. That wasn't the best song on the album. It's an amazing song. But that wasn't the best song on the album. But that's the one I settled for. That's the one I settled to learn. So I weigh more than Mike Tyson, but ain't Russell, I hear you. So you know what I'm saying? That wasn't the best song. That wasn't the best song on the record, but that's the one I settled to learn. And when it comes to people investing in themselves, most people make excuses because they're not willing to do the work that it takes to see everything happen. And I used to think it was personal, like on my website where I do music, and a lot of you guys don't know this, you know I'm a bass player, but I've had the opportunity to work with a lot of people. I'm not gonna start name dropping any of that stuff, but God has blessed me in my career. And so I know I'm worth my hype because I know the stuff that I've done, you know, the stuff that I've accomplished in my own career. And I started scratching my head back in the day when I initially started doing music. I was like, man, you know, maybe it's my pricing. And maybe it's this, and maybe it's that. And then I started looking at some of the stuff that people pay for. And it doesn't give them any return. I'm like, we'll pay $25,000 for a $12,000 car. Think about that for a minute. People will pay $25,000 for a $12,000 car. That's basically what you're saying. Hey, this car is worth X amount of dollars, but I'm going to give you 25 for it over this next 6 years because I feel like it's worth that to me. But people won't spend $5, $6, $7, $8, $9, $1,000 on their own music, on a song that's original to them, that they have the ability to promote and market, and that song could turn into a hit. It's, you know, we don't know. but you have the ability to do that and to promote your own stuff and build a brand for yourself and become your own person doing your own thing. But most people won't take the initial step and invest in themselves. And I found out why. I thought it was me. I thought it was my pricing. I'm like, no, most people just simply don't believe in themselves. They don't believe in themselves, and so they look for excuses not to do it. Oh man, that's too much money. How much you pay for your phone? How much value is that phone adding to you? That's just being honest. Now, if you're an entrepreneur and you use your phone for business, that's a completely different conversation. But if you're a person and the only thing you do is get on Facebook and Instagram and you make calls, well, how much value is that adding to you, as opposed to you investing in something that you really value and getting something out of it? Most people won't do that. They won't invest in something that brings value to them because they don't believe enough in themselves. And I realized that. I'm like, it ain't me, it's them. It's all on them. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I'm fixing the food and you're hungry and you decide not to come and eat, but yet you sit and complain about being hungry, that's not my fault. That's your fault. You saw the food over there. You just decided not to, you decided not to do anything with that. So I'm just hopefully encouraging somebody today. Take ownership for it. Going into 2020, don't make excuses for stuff that you know you can do better. I'm not telling you guys anything that I haven't had to deal with on my own. And as being an entrepreneur, I had to watch the stuff that I was feeding myself and the stories I was feeding myself concerning what I wanted to do with my life, concerning my career. Because if you're saying, I want to be one of the best bass players in the world, where do you spend your time at? I'll wait. I guess I stumbled across your page a couple of weeks ago. You're a great speaker of music. Thank you. I appreciate that, Chris. Where do you spend your time at? How much time do you spend on social media? Maybe you're not a social media person. How much time do you spend watching TV? How much time do you spend hanging out with friends who are going nowhere? Just some things to think about. What do you do with your time? I'm not talking about working. If you have a job and you're working a 9 to 5, I'm not talking about that clearly. But the other time, if you want to be one of the best musicians in the world, what are you doing with your time? How much are you practicing? All right. So just say you are practicing. Oh, I practice all the time. What are you practicing on? Are you practicing on anything that's actually, he said YouTube. Are you practicing on things that are moving you forward? And not only that, you're practicing. Some of y'all, you don't do nothing but practice. But what are you doing that's getting you out of that comfort zone of the four walls of practice? Are you actually going out anywhere? Are you stretching yourself? Are you getting around other musicians? Are you getting in an environment that pushes you to grow? Because outside of practicing, and I've told this story many times, so I won't go into detail with it. When I first started creating videos on YouTube, it was kind of like an outlet for me because, I'm doing a main gig and I didn't really get anywhere where I didn't really get many calls where I was playing a lot of solos and a lot of original music. So I started, using YouTube as an outlet for that because I didn't really have time to go and do other things, as far as get out and play because I was so busy with my main gig. And YouTube just became that outlet for me. But after a while, YouTube got boring. And I noticed boring in the sense of no interaction. I wasn't getting a response. As far as growing as an artist, I needed something that was going to stretch me, that was going to make me start responding different. Because what really was the telltale for me, these little sporadic performances that I would do in different places, I told you guys, I'm my biggest critic. And so I would analyze my performance and I'm like, man, I need to work on that. Man, that's bad. I really need to get better on that. And it wasn't always about my playing. My playing was more mental. I had the chops because I practiced all the time. I practice. As I saw somebody put down earlier, I had the chops. But when it came to delivering, I wasn't delivering. It wasn't because I didn't practice. It would be times that I worked on my show so much and I knew the stuff so much, I would get up there and bomb because I was overthinking. I was fearful. I was focusing on the wrong thing, or if something threw me off that was out of the ordinary of my practice environment, it threw my complete concentration off. And I would have to me, I would have a bad show. I didn't do how I wanted to do. So I had to find something other than YouTube that was an outlet that allowed me the pressure of people to be able to still produce what I was trying to produce. And many of you guys know I started doing like a simple, I'm just giving y'all some simple practical stuff some of y'all can do, because some of y'all are looking for ways. You ain't quite ready to go out and get in, on the big stage yet, but you're looking for a little in-between thing. I started doing a pizza bar. Started playing at a pizza bar on Tuesday nights and started playing my original music in there and growing. And I told this story to one of my guys that was on the coaching call with me. I might have told it to several people. But I started playing that little pizza bar gig and working on my presentation, working on how I interacted with people, working on the dead time in between songs as an artist. Like, how do I handle this dead time? What do I do while I'm looking for the next song? Do I just let it just sit there and be open space? How do I engage an audience on this instrument that people are not used to hearing as a solo instrument? And I'm by myself with just tracks. How do I improve? How do I get better? And so I started working on all these different things, and I had to create an environment that made me uncomfortable, and I couldn't focus as much about the money because it was like only like $50 that I was getting paid to do that, literally. And I didn't really do it for the money. Of course, the money helped, but I didn't do it, not much. I didn't do it for the money. I wanted to get better at what it is I was trying to grow, and ultimately, I was trying to grow my performance. I was trying to grow my skill level as a bass player. I was trying to grow all of that different stuff. And I wasn't going to grow that in the comforts of a practice room. So just because you're practicing all the time doesn't mean you're really growing. Chop wise, you're probably getting better. But how are you going to do in the environment with everybody? In an environment with people who don't want to hear you? How do you respond? If people start tuning you out when you take a solo, David, what's up, man? People start tuning you out when it's your time to take a solo. That's something you need to work on. You know what I'm saying? If you want to be an entertainer or whatever field you're in, if people start tuning you out when you start doing what you do, that's something you need to work on. You need to be aware of how people are responding when you're playing. Like, if you're playing for people, don't get me wrong, church folks. I'm a church boy too. I know ultimately we play for God. But there are people in the audience who are listening to us. So we have to be aware of all of those people who are out there and how are they responding to what it is I'm doing. How are my fellow bandmates responding to what it is I'm playing? I got to look up. I can't be so buried in this all the time looking at my own hands that I don't realize what's going on around me. A lot of times when I go and I speak at with different groups and different teams, bands, and that kind of thing, one of the things I try to encourage guys to do is interact. Interact with your band members. Like, look around. I find so many players when I go to these different places and they're playing their instruments, and it's like this the whole time. You're either looking at your hand or you're looking at the floor. Who's on the floor? Like, you have an entire stage with a drummer here. You have a guitarist, you have a keyboard player, you have singers, you have so many different people that you can interact with, because what you find as you start interacting with people, all of these people have some type of energy to them. It could be either positive or negative energy. You can either be bringing positive or negative energy, and you have to be aware of everything that's going on. You know what I'm saying? So that's one of the things. I didn't mean to get all on that rabbit trail. Let me go. I'm missing some comments. Let me get back up here. All right, let's see here. Looking at the bass is giving me gear envy. I want a 6-string. I should treat myself. Go ahead, man. Go for it. If you can get it, get it. Let's see here. Good. Wish you happy New Year. Thank you, sir. Chris said this is great. K. Oliver, Jermaine, I'm an older bassist. but I've always lacked understand how modes work, theory, slapping, running, and feels. Can you help me, please? Absolutely. That's I've built this entire channel on that kind of stuff, and my website, we can get a little bit more in depth with my website. So I encourage you, if you're not signed up for my website, JermaineMorgan.net, do that as soon as you get off of here. I have tons of resources and tons of lessons that can help you in all of that different stuff. But even over all of that, over all of the riffs, all of the modes, all of the slapping, all of the technique, it's the interaction. Now I'm telling you guys from a person who's learned not everything, but I've learned a lot of all of this stuff that you guys are trying to learn on the bass. And I've worked as a professional and I've made money as a professional on a very high scale. But it's all about the interaction at the end of the day. I know you guys think like the better I get, like the on the outside looking in, you think, man, the better I get at this instrument, the better career, the better this, the better that. It's partially true. There are a lot of phenomenal musicians I know that don't do this for a living. Some of them want to do this for a living and can't. Some of them chose not to do it for the living, but the ones that want to do it and can't, a lot of the things that are holding them back are their attitudes, their mindset, that whole thing of not working on these little, like, especially like a lot of solo players that are really, really good soloists, just not being aware, just not learning other things about their career that they should know, some things that they, so it's almost like you're waiting on somebody to this. I'll put it like this: you're waiting on somebody to discover you mentality. As a musician, that's not a good approach, because if you're always waiting on somebody else to do the work for you, it's not going to last long. It might happen. You might have a shot at something and it might happen, but you'll always have this mindset if you're looking for or waiting, not looking for, waiting on the next thing to happen. I'm waiting on this. I'm waiting on this. Guess what happens when you're waiting? Your bills keep coming. Your life keep happening. And so before you know it, you have to find, you have to find something else to, I'm telling you, in terms of how to become a professional bassist. You start becoming a professional bassist at a very small level, doing these things that I'm talking about. Start working on not only your playing, but your presentation, like what you bring to the table. How do you add value to your situations? How are you in terms of your reputation? Your reputation is what helps you to become a professional, and owning up to where you are lacking at. Like, okay, I need to get better in this particular area. Go where you have the opportunity to be a professional bassist. If you're in a town that's backwoods that has no music scene at all, no opportunity of creating a music scene, then it's going to be really, really hard to be a professional. Now you can create your own situations, and I'm a pro. I'm an advocate for. I'm not saying I'm a pro, but I am pro creating your own avenue. If you can't find the avenue, some of you guys just want to play with a cool band, and that's cool. Or you want a nice church situation, that's cool too. But some of you guys want to do your own thing. You have a genuine desire to do your own thing, but you're waiting on somebody to give you a shot. Stop waiting on people to give you a shot. Create a shot for yourself. Create something for yourself. And when you get an opportunity, take it. Like, go all in. Don't just half do the opportunity. When you finally get that opportunity, you got to run with it. But you have to create something for yourself. Like I was telling you, I did with the Johnny's Pizza gig. I'm not getting called consistently for those type gigs, so I have to create one for myself. Some people will be too proud, especially a musician that's playing at that level. Most of the guys would be just say, when I did that Johnny's Pizza gig, I was already playing at a pro level, playing with artists, like traveling, doing all kind of stuff. And so most musicians in my seat at that time would have been too embarrassed to do that. I don't care if they did need to grow their artistry. I'm being honest. Most cats would have thought, oh man, I am not finna do no pizza bar. I'm not finna do nothing like that. I'm too good for that. I'm too proud. That's basically what you're saying. I'm too proud to humble myself and work on myself. I'm too proud to do that. You have to take every opportunity that you can. Be mindful of the opportunities that you're making yourself available for, because not every opportunity is for you. So you have to really pay attention to and look at the fine print of things before you do them. But also take risk. Some stuff is not for you, but some stuff is. But the sad part or the scary part is you don't know what is what. So you have to have some type of level of discernment to figure it out. And you just have to take some risk. You have to be able to jump, take a chance. And if you are just completely oblivious to all of it, you have to try something, because you will not get any information just sitting at home on the couch or just watching YouTube all day. You will get some tips and things like that, but knowledge is applied wisdom, or wisdom is applied knowledge, rather, sorry. Wisdom is applied knowledge. And so you won't gain that wisdom until you actually get out and do it for yourself. And you know, oh, now I know about this, and now I know about that. Oh, I tried that gig over there. I worked with this group of people. Now I know why I don't want to do that. I understand. I went to school, and I'm sorry for telling all these stories, but they're relevant. I went to school for commercial music, to as far as recording and all that kind of stuff. So I did an internship at a major studio down here in Atlanta, and I thought I wanted to be an engineer. That's what I thought I wanted to be when I first did my internship, because I saw all these different engineers and I saw all these different. I always knew I liked producing music, but I wasn't sure about the engineer and all that kind of stuff. The assistant, I didn't know anything about anything. So once I got to the major studio, I saw how the music game worked. You start as an intern, you work your way up to an assistant, and like assistant to the engineer, and then later you start engineering records, meaning like doing the recording and the editing and the Pro Tools and moving stuff around, chopping and all that kind of stuff. A lot of engineers can make big money. I thought that's what I wanted to do, and I realized once I got into that environment and I seen what most engineers go through, and I'm like, I ain't want no part of that. I thought that's what I wanted to do. I had all the information. I went to school. I knew all the stuff. But when I submerged myself in that environment and I was able to experience, I was for sure able to make a decision like, yeah, I don't want to do this. Not for other people. Now I'll engineer my own stuff. I'll mix my own records. I record and produce people all the time. I'll mix and edit and do all that stuff to clients that I choose, but I don't want to have to work for a studio working with artists that I don't necessarily enjoy their, I don't enjoy their company. I don't want to be in an environment where people are blowing, no offense to the smokers, but I don't want to be in an environment where y'all blowing smoke all in my face, or I got to sit in a room with a lot of stuff I don't agree with, and I have to sit there just for a check. I don't want to do that. But you won't know that if you don't put yourself into the environment, because everything on the outside looking in all looks good. When people look at my musical career, people that know me, they have a perception of my career based on what they saw from me, but they haven't experienced what I have experienced. So all you have is a perception. And until you immerse yourself in that thing, till you step into the ring, making yourself uncomfortable, until you step into the ring for yourself, you just have an idea of what it is, what it looks like. You just have an idea. All right, so let's I'm over again. Let's see. I missed some. He said I will sign up soon as your live ends today. Appreciate you, man. Any advice on keeping the rhythm with other musicians while jamming? Been playing for a while now and just started playing with the guitars. Yeah, keeping the rhythm while playing. You now. You're not necessarily talking about timing. I would say, I don't think you're talking about timing. Keeping a rhythm, I would say subdividing. So like, just say this particular groove here that I was playing earlier. Let me mute some stuff. Let me get the drums pulled up. All right, so we got the drums here. How do I keep the rhythm when it's just me? This is an odd time signature, but I'm gonna try to demonstrate with this. what you hear me doing is I'm filling in the space, not necessarily trying to be busy. So let me because it might be confusing with this odd time signature. I'll play something simple. I'll play something in like 4. So basically what I'm doing to answer your question is playing with ghost notes. Like using those ghost notes to fill in the rhythm. You can play full notes at times, but you don't want it to get too busy, especially if you got a guitar player that's taking a solo. You don't want to feel like you're soloing over them. So the thing as a bass player that allows us to get away with filling up space without feeling like we're playing all over the place is the ghost notes. So incorporating ghost notes in your playing. So and that's basically just keeping the timing with your right hand. Now it's not necessary. I'm over exaggerating for the sake of you hearing a time or a beat, a pulse, but just keeping the timing with your right hand, and you don't have to hit the pickups that hard or the string. Subdividing. I've talked about that in several other videos. Be sure when you get off of this to go back and check out. There's a couple of videos I did about a month or so ago, and I was talking about subdividing and that being able to help your groove a little bit more. You know what I'm saying? I'm just playing one note, but I'm just kind of keeping the timing. And the more I have somebody keeping good timing, the less of that I have to do. So what are you doing with your left hand? Play here. It goes nothing. I'm just nothing. I'm just playing the notes and I'm muting. I'm muting with my left hand, trying to make sure that the strings don't ring. Notes in there, it's the same thing. Now I'm just putting notes in the place of some of those ghost notes. You know what I'm saying? So that all comes from first starting and understanding the subdivision with the ghost notes. I've talked like heavily on subdividing as far as subdividing those different rhythms and that kind of stuff. 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4, like with that 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4. That's we're just putting names on all of the beats, and if you don't even know those names, I'm just going down a. So it's like a pull-up type deal, but I'm not putting so much emphasis on the pull-up as I am with just on the down beats. This is what my right hand is doing. So it's like a lift. It's like a little quick lift thing I'm doing. And I just move that around on the strings, and I'm just keeping the timing with it. It's not so much a technique as it is feel. This is just a more of a feel thing that I'm doing to keep the timing. And the more I'm in a live situation, now the only thing about that, you guys have to be aware of how loud you are doing that and how much it's needed. Now, not in every situation do I play all those ghost notes, especially if I have a really, really good solid drummer. I'm not playing it as aggressive. Now, if I'm in a situation where the beat is kind of fluctuating, I might have to do it a little more aggressive to just give that distinct, okay, this is where it's at. But if I'm in a song that doesn't really call for all that, and I'm especially aware of it when it comes to studio sessions, because as a producer myself, that's a lot of that extra noise I don't want to hear. So that's more stuff I got to edit and chop out, because when you're doing studio recording, and just some tips for you guys that are trying to record and that kind of thing, when you're doing studio recording, be aware of how much extra stuff you're doing on the bass. You can get away with a lot of that stuff live, but when you're doing studio, a lot of times that's a lot of extra noise that people don't want to hear, because they're trying to line everything up on the grid. Even with the human fallacies, with the human mistakes and all that kind of stuff, I know people are like, man, it feels more human when everything is not on the grid. It does, but at the same, from a producer standpoint, it can get really cluttered when when it's very clear and the notes, everything is very clear. Not when it's a bad mix, but when you have a really, really good mix and you can hear everything really clear, and the drummer is playing one thing and the bass player is playing one thing, and everybody calls themselves keeping timing, and you have some like fluctuation with time, it's annoying. So you have to be really aware. If you're trying to be a studio musician, you have to be really aware of all of the extra ghost notes. As much as we like all the ghost notes, they have to be controlled. And your ghost notes, like if you're gonna do them and you're in a studio session type deal, or even if you're on a live recording, you got just have to be aware of what your right hand is doing and making sure you're right on the money as it relates to your timing or the feel of the song, depending on the genre of music that you're playing. Because if it's more laid back and it doesn't require you to do as much to keep the rhythm, some things we don't have to do. We can do them in certain grooves, but certain things we don't have to do, and the song will still be fine. The rhythm will be just fine. We don't have to do all of these different things. So hopefully I answered that question for you guys that asked that question. All right. So into as we move into 2020, just own up, man. If you're jumping on here late, just say it's all me. It's all on me. It's all on me. And if I'm not where I want it to be, it's all on me. And people get mad at that stuff. Even I've got mad at that statement at times, because I'm like, man, it wasn't my fault I did this. It wasn't my fault this happened. It wasn't my fault that happened. It wasn't my fault that this person left, or that person talked about me, or this person caused me to get fired, or this person, like whatever happened in your own life story. You don't know. Like, oh, I don't know what happened in your life story. But the fact of the matter is, yeah, you didn't do it. You didn't necessarily bring it on yourself, but how you respond to it is completely up to you. Did you take it and you use it as fuel to get better, or you use it as fuel to get bitter? And fuel to stay in the same place, fuel not to grow. I wasn't born in the right place, They're in the music city. I wasn't around anybody to help me to grow. I used that excuse for as long as I could use it. Then when I moved down here, I had to change my excuse. Because the reality of it is, I got around more people that was growing, but I didn't necessarily get around somebody that was making me grow. When I got into an environment and I got a job, I got somebody there that challenged me, not necessarily encouraged me. So, because it's different. Right now, you guys are in a position where you can go on YouTube, grab lessons, you can pay for bass lessons. I do teach, I do coach and all that stuff. So if you need a teacher or a coach, I got you. But a lot of you guys won't even invest into your own self, and you won't try to get better until you're in a situation where somebody challenges you to get better. That's what happened to me. I got challenged to get better. Now, I was already growing, but I got really challenged to get better faster. Like, no, I need you to do this. You need to learn this. You need to figure that out, because I'm not, like, that's not right. You're not playing the right part. You know what I'm saying? Vargas, what's up? So Don't wait till you get in a situation that challenges you to get better. Challenge yourself to get better. Own up to it. Admit that, hey, it's me. I'm the problem, and I'm going to work on me. I'm going to grow, and I'm going to do what I got to do because I know I'm basically in control of this thing in terms of what I put out, what I produce. I am in control of it. Did you go to music school or were you more or less self-taught? I'm more self-taught. I did go to school, and I did learn some things in school at community college. But by that time, I had already learned how to play. I was already figuring it out. And I can't really accredit everything I know to college at all because I literally did couple of years at community college. My first, my first couple, I did a super semester at a super year at a community college. Some of you guys don't know what that means, I did 3 years at a community college. My first 2 years, I started majoring on tuba. Yeah, random. I started majoring on tuba, and so I was doing tuba studies for the first 2 years. The third year, my extra super year that I went, I changed my major to guitar studies, jazz guitar studies, and I started studying jazz guitar. But here's the thing: I could already play guitar by ear, and I was already in jazz band, the prior 2 years, but I didn't really know what I was doing. And most of the information that I learned at college, I credit that to Dr. Cass Patrick from ICC. He really helped me, but it wasn't until later. It wasn't until I put the time in and really started figuring out what it was I was doing, that the stuff that he was trying to teach me, because I didn't grab the concept during the lessons. I got it like years later. So it came through me putting in the work and putting in the time and actually figuring it out. I'm like, oh, that's what he was trying to tell me. Like literally like that. I didn't figure it out right away. So yeah, to answer that, I'm majority self-taught, even bass. The greatest majority of what I know in bass is self-taught. So I have a few people that played a part in helping me figure out some things, but 80% of what I know on bass is self-taught. I will be kind of scared going to music school simply because there are so many resources on the internet. I mean, you can take your pick. I definitely encourage. Uh, I'm not saying school is wrong, school is bad, school is good. If you're in a position in your life where it doesn't hurt you to go to school, um, definitely do it. I wouldn't get into a bunch of student loan debt. Not just me being honest, me being transparent. I wouldn't get into a bunch of student loan debt going for music, me personally. Unless you're trying to go for music education, I wouldn't, if you're just trying to get better as a player, I would use your resources on the internet. I like some of these teachers, a lot of people recommend books that you can buy and like self-educate. That's what I would recommend personally. And I have a degree, but I would recommend that you self-educate as much as you possibly can. Pay for lessons, pay for mentorship, go for specialized lessons. Like if you know if you're playing guitar, find a guitar player that you admire, get lessons with them if they offer lessons, or get whatever material that they have that you can learn from them. Get as close to whatever you're trying to do as you possibly can. Get around the people who are trying to do what you're trying to do. Just going and getting general overview of something and paying $20,000-$30,000 in student debt, it doesn't make sense. If you're trying to have a career in music, you need to get around somebody that has a career in music and pay them for their time to learn what they know. That's my advice. So with my coaching things that I'm doing, I'm basically, people are paying me for my information, for my experience. Because if you're trying to go the route that I went, or you're trying to learn how to grow a business, or if you're trying to do these things and you want to ask somebody about it, like ask somebody who's done it, who knows the ups and downs, who's relevant. One of the biggest things that I had coming out of school, and again, I'm not trying to be negative towards school, but one of the bigger things, yep, it's just like very similar to a consultant. One of the things that I had coming out of school, I went to this college and I learned all of this stuff about the music industry as it relates. My bachelor's degree is in recording, or the science of music, or whatever. So it's like commercial music recording industry. The biggest thing for me that was a letdown is by the time I started working in the music industry a year later, all of the things that I learned in school were obsolete. It was like non-existent. When I was talking about certain things and scales and all this different stuff, it's almost like these guys laughed at me like, you're fresh out of college. Yeah, that's not the way this works here. And so it felt like I learned all this stuff really for nothing, because it at this point it doesn't even matter. And granted, I know schools are continuously updating, but you have to think, in this age of social media and technology, information is changing. Everything that you learn now concerning technology will be obsolete in the next 6 months. Almost everything that you're learning will be obsolete. Just like if you are a YouTuber and you're creating content, every 2 to 3 months it's changing. Something is changing. Trends are changing, so you have to stay with the trends. So my advice to you, in whatever field you're trying to get into, unless you're trying to go for one of those fields like medicine, or a lawyer, something that really requires you to know the law of what it is you're trying to do, I would advise you to get around a person that's actually doing it, basically being either an intern with that person or pay that person for that time. Do something, get some coaching under this person, consult with this person, sit down with this person, do whatever you have to do. Because paying, if you invest $1,000 into a person just to learn what they learn over a course of however many times you sit down with them, that's going to be a lot cheaper and a lot more beneficial to you than spending thousands of dollars going to school for something that you might not do. My thoughts. I'll end there. I'll end there because I can talk all day on that. Um, I gotta go, dude, man. Russell, happy New Year to you, man. Very similar as a consultant. How can you suggest simple tools to write music charts for band, please? That's not my really my area of expertise. I would have to consult a few friends of mine that do that. That's not really my area of expertise there. Experience is so important. I agree. Yeah, experience, because I mean it's just like learning from somebody. You can go and read a book on being married, but you're probably gonna get a little bit more. I'm not saying nothing is wrong with a book. I read all kind of books. Some of my books I got right here close to my hands right here. So I just finished this book up. So I read a lot of books. Nothing wrong with that. Um, but it's just something about talking to those people who walked in this thing, and not just taking one person's opinion, getting multiple opinions. But if you find somebody that you really admire, that they look like they really doing that thing, just say marriage, for instance. You see a couple that really like, not fake breaking, but you've been able to consistently see, like, this person or this couple, and it's like, man, y'all got years in the game and y'all still look like y'all love each other. And I'm consistently seeing love. Like, and your kids, because your kids will tell off on you. Your kids show that you guys actually love each other. So that might be somebody you need to invest time in. You need to try to get under that person. Like, okay, I know you guys don't necessarily counsel, but if you just had to counsel somebody, what would you charge me or something? Can my wife and I, most married couples will sit down with you for free. You know what I'm saying? Can my wife and I come sit down with you and just ask you some questions? Can we go out to dinner? We just like to know how you guys did it, what you did. You know what I'm saying? That kind of thing. You want to get around people who have experience, people who are actually doing it, not talking about doing it. It's a difference. All right. So because all that is theory. When you're just talking about it, it's theory. We kind of break it down what the theory behind it is. Now I want somebody to give me like concrete what it is, so I'll know, and some things I'll know to look for. So when I get out there, I won't make the same mistakes as they made. I'm basically paying not to have the same problems you have. Not saying you're not gonna have your own problems, but it's better when you can avoid some of them. All right. Jermaine Ottawa here, and Happy New Year to you and your family. Thank you for this year's educational videos. Keep putting them out. Best 2020. Same to you. I guess that's Thank you, man. Same to you. This has been so helpful, man. Joseph, thank you. I'm glad this was helpful to you. 5 strings or 4 strings to begin. It really doesn't matter. A lot of people feel more comfortable with 4 strings because it's a lesser number. But at the end of the day, it really doesn't matter, because you still got to learn. If you're going to go to 5, you still got to figure it out. So to me, I'm like, you can start wherever you start. You still got to learn the same stuff. All right. So But if you feel more comfortable with the 4 string in your hand, hey, go with a 4 or 5. No, that didn't help. Let's see here. In the future, can you address the bass maintenance and string changing? Like how often? Oh yeah. And that won't take long. So depending on the type of bass you have, like this bass and my Warrior basses, these are like custom wood. There is no coating on these basses, like, as far as no clear coat and that kind of stuff. So I have to, when I change my strings, and I change my strings according to how much I play the bass. Some people say once a month, once, I know players that change them like every 2 to 3 days, and that's to me ridiculous. Unless you just got a sweet endorsement, and even in that, that's a little wasteful to me. I'm not saying anything wrong with that, but I personally don't do that. If I was just banking and I had like string company just throwing me strings, all right, well I guess no, I probably still would do it because I have a string company that I have an endorsement with, and I don't change my strings that often. I change my strings when I hear them start to die. I change them. Like when they don't have, and for some people, and I'm not trying to, because I don't want nobody to get offended. I'm not saying anything is wrong with changing your strings because the tone change. I know that can affect people in what they like to hear. So, you do you in terms of your string changing. Me personally, I change my strings on average probably once a month or once every 2 months, depending on the miles I'm putting on the actual bass. Now, and depending on the bass, this bass right here, this little 4 string, I don't change the strings that often on this bass because there's a particular sound I'm going for there, and I want a little bit more grit. I want a little bit more dirty with that particular bass. So I don't change my strings as often because when I'm looking to record, I don't want that bass sounding real bright. I want it a little muddy. So it depends on the sound you're going for. If you're a person that slaps and thumps all the time, I know people that slap and thump like to have that really, really crisp sound. So they change their strings often, like once a month, that kind of thing. If you play a more fingerstyle playing, you want a little bit more of a Jocko tone, you can get away with a little longer time before you change your strings. It really depends on you. Ultimately, to answer your question, it really depends on you, what you're looking for as a player, what you're comfortable with, what you like hearing. That's ultimately what decides when you need to change your strings. Now, let's put a disclaimer because some of y'all will take it to the extreme. If you got green stuff and your frets and all that stuff is all caked up, you need to change them strings. Like you get your strings got that black stuff up under them. Y'all know what I'm talking about. It's all caked up under your strings, so much so to your frets don't even shine anymore. Yeah, you need to change your strings. So some of y'all keep strings on basses until they break, and you don't play hard enough to break them, so they never break. So if you're not going for that sound, you need to change those strings. And I change my strings probably once a month for this particular bass. Once I feel it dying and I know I want that clarity, I change the strings. All right, so when I take the strings off, I clean this fretboard. You can use steel wool to get all of that grime and that grit and all that kind of stuff off of your fretboard. Steel wool, you can get it from Walmart or some little hardware store or something like that, and just clean it up real good. And I usually oil. If it don't have a clear coat on it, I usually oil my fretboards. Now I got my oil from Warrior, and it's just like call it anointed oil, but it's like a tongue oil that you can use and just like oil the base up really good and make sure that you keep that wood taken care of, so the wood that doesn't start cracking, that kind of stuff. So you want to keep it oiled up as much as you can to preserve the life of the base, preserve the body. This one can stand a good oil, and it's a little overdue for oil. So I do that as often as I change the strings. As far as intonation and that kind of thing, you just want to keep a watch on it. If you don't do it yourself, definitely have somebody look at it and just make sure from time to time. I would say every 6 months or so, have somebody look at it. But if you keep your basses or your guitars in a pretty controlled environment and you're not rough on them, you generally don't have to touch it. My basses, I generally don't have to touch the intonation or any of that stuff because I keep them out. I learned this old trick from an older guy. He told me, he said, if you keep your bass out in a room where you play music a lot, and just take them out of the case, like you just look at all my instruments in this room, they're all out of the cases. But if you keep them and you take them out and you keep them in a room where you play music, those vibrations will age the wood. Now, this is what I heard, and so I started trying this. And again, I don't have to really do anything to my guitars. I keep them out, and I keep them in a pretty climate controlled environment, and have my music, my monitors, and everything in here playing, and it ages the wood. It's almost like you're playing because it makes the strings vibrate. So it's a lot like you're playing the actual instrument, and it vibrates the wood, keeps that wood aging. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, those are some things I learned. My thoughts. I know we can get a little bit more technical. I'm not gonna spend the time here doing that today, but those are just some little tips you can do on trying to, you know, trying to do that. Man, I'm missing more comments. All right, let's see here. Great info. Happy New Year. Jerry, thank you. Same to you. Been playing bass for 5 years now. Self-taught, YouTube videos only. My main goal is to play for my mother's church. Should I have a teacher? I wouldn't say anything is wrong with getting a teacher. Terrence, are you taking lessons? I'm taking students. I'm being funny and serious at the same time. Monthly membership lessons. I offer them video lessons delivered weekly on JermaineMorgan.net, and I think they're like only $11.99 a month. That's like videos, and I've been doing this for a while, so I have a super catalog of lessons that you can go through, find almost anything you're looking to work on as a growing basis, and I constantly update the lessons from week to week. And yeah, whole bunch of material that you can invest in your craft. I would definitely say if it's something like, as I've been saying earlier, if it's something that you're wanting to do, you definitely need to invest in yourself to get better. And if you know you don't have all the resources, get where the resources are. So yeah, I would definitely recommend you taking some type of lessons. Just find your channel, nice content. Thanks for your time. Jose, thank you. Appreciate that. Thanks for the info. In the future, can you tell us about the challenge you spoke of earlier? What pushed you to getting better? Okay, that'd be a good topic, Michael, for the next thing. How do you build up your feels based on modes? I have to cover that on the next one. I'm way over time. See, y'all be making my videos long. I'm blaming y'all. I'm not gonna blame myself. I'm gonna blame y'all. It was all y'all, not me. Just completely ruined my whole topic for today. But yeah, thank y'all, man, for tuning in with me today. I got some more work I got to get done. Happy New Year to all you that tuned in. Happy New Year. I hope y'all have a blessed, a prosperous next decade, not just next year, next decade. Remember, leave out of here, own up to whatever it is that you need to do. Make the adjustments, do what needs to be done so you can be productive. Be productive. You don't want to just stay in the same place. You want to grow. You want to grow. I have all kind of information available on my websites. I have opened my website up now. Well, opened myself up now to coaching, one-on-one sessions, video, Skype calls that I'm doing, coaching calls. People are taking advantage of these calls. I'm coaching them with their careers as bass players, as musicians, just in general, life in general. And I'm sharing my experience, not just my experience, the wisdom that I've learned over my little 37 years of being on earth, and the things I've been able to implement in my own life. And I'm sharing these things with people through these calls, as well as helping them with their playing. So if you want to secure your spot, I have limited spots. As this year picks up, I definitely will be limited. I won't be able to do, people won't have as much access as my schedule begins to pick up. So it's still limited spaces, and I'm still taking people. If you're interested in the coaching sessions, some of you already have had coaching sessions with me. You know what it's about. You know how we do. We talk, I find out what you got going on, and we work through it, try to give you some solutions and that kind of stuff. So if anybody want to join in on those coaching calls with me, be sure to head over to my website, JermaineMorgan.net. Click the coaching calls tab. Other than that, check out the merch. I do need y'all to support the merch below this video. I need you to go grab something. Grab the silhouette. Let me see y'all stuff in 2020. Whoever buys, here's the other thing. If you buy some of my merchandise and you wear it, or whether you get a phone cover or you wear it or whatever the case may be, if you take a picture of it, send it to me. Either email it to me or tag me in it on Instagram. I will repost you on my Instagram feed. If you have some of the gear, if you have any of my stuff, even if it's not the clothes, if you have any of my stuff and you have purchased it, screenshot it, tag me in it, and I will repost it, give you a shout out, because I really appreciate you guys. I appreciate all the support. It helps me to continue to create, helps me to keep going, all that stuff, knowing that people are being affected by it. So yeah, be sure to grab it. The JM silhouette. Just roll that out. The logo that y'all see in all of my videos now, the new logo with me holding my bass. Check it out. It's all kind of gear and all kind of stuff that you can use. So, all right, man. I've been over here way too long. What's that? Really appreciate your courses, your channel, and insight. I wish continued success. Charles Ray, man. Thank you. Thank you for being a good dude, man. Appreciate you. Arlissa, Happy New Year to you. Arlisa, if I said that wrong, sorry. But Happy New Year, everybody. I'm out of here. Y'all have a great day. Have a great year. Goodbye, 2019. Hello, 2020. See you guys next year. All right, peace.